Understanding of the challenges that are displayed there. The bilateral agreement on the exchange of mutual protection of classified information that we signed here today confirms once more our solid and constantly evolving bilateral relations. During our consultations, we agreed that we should intensify new areas of cooperation in order to broaden these relations, be it in trade, culture, education, tourism, etc. I, of course, briefed the Minister on the latest developments in the current negotiating process for finding a solution to the Cyprus problem. At this point, I would like to express our appreciation for Hungary's contribution to the maintenance of peace in Cyprus through its participation in UNFICYP with a contingent of 84. We also exchanged views on the current situation in Turkey and on the upcoming elections. We discussed the issue of Turkey's accession negotiations and repeated our position, our Cypriot position, that Turkey must fulfill all its obligations vis-à-vis the EU, including those related to Cyprus. We had a constructive discussion on a number of global and regional issues of mutual concern. We talked about the situation in Ukraine, and we agreed that there is no alternative to the full implementation of the Minsk agreements and the continuation and intensification, if needed, of the work under the existing Normandy format and the trilateral contact group. The serious issue of migration was also on our agenda. We noted the outcome of the mini-summit that took place on 25th October, which demonstrates that common problems are better solved in a framework of partnership and cooperation. We also agreed that tackling the root causes of migration is an indispensable element of addressing this challenge. Within this context, we also exchanged views on the situation in Syria and Iraq, as well as terrorism and the threat of ISIL. We discussed the energy union, and I had an opportunity to inform my counterpart on the latest developments with regards to recent gas discoveries in Cyprus.
Thank you very much, Johannes, for the invitation you have extended to me. It was my honor to meet your president this morning, and I had a consultation with your Minister of Energy before meeting you. Here I want to emphasize that although geographically we are far away of each other, we have different kinds of history and different kinds of heritage, but we have common challenges. And as we are sharing the challenges, we are more and more sharing the solutions as well. And I was very happy that we could find out that we agree on a lot of issues. We agree on a lot of open questions, how world and Europe should handle challenges which we have been currently facing. I want to make here, I want to emphasize here that Hungary has a very clear proposal how to overcome the migration crisis, which has just hit Europe. Hungary is the only successful country on the continental Europe who could stop the influx of the irregular migrants on the borders. It is very clear that if Europe is not able to get back the ability to control the external borders, then it will not be possible to overcome this challenge. That's why we are ready to cooperate with all our fellow European Union member states to assist Greece in protecting the southern external border of European Union. Without being able to get back the control over the southern borders of ours, we will not be able to address the challenge of migration properly. And second, it is our clear vision that we have to support those neighboring countries of European Union who have been bearing an enormous burden in taking care of migrants and refugees. It's very clear that Lebanon, Jordan, Iraqi Kurdistan and Turkey need to be supported by European Union in financial terms in order to help them to continue taking care of refugees and migrants. If these four countries had not been taking care of the refugees and migrants, that would mean a huge additional pressure of influx of migrants on Europe, and in the current shape of ours, European Union would not be able to bear that kind of a burden. We have talked about counter-terrorism efforts. We agreed that if we are not successful in the anti-terror fight of ours, we will be facing enormous challenges regarding migration. The less successful we are in combating terrorism, the more migrants will come to Europe, and the bigger challenge we will face. Our position is that the international community should heavily increase the efforts against ISIS. Hungary has done her homework already. We have deployed 150 troops to Iraq who are acting as force protection unit and taking part in training the Peshmerga army. We have learned it with great satisfaction that Cyprus is progressing on exploring gas on the exclusive economic zone of the country. We are pretty interested in cooperating on the energy field as well, since unfortunately European Commission put hard pressure on the member states, so the project of South Stream pipeline has been cancelled, although the extension of Northern Stream seem not to be attacked that heavily. So we have to look for additional resources, additional sources of gas in order to ensure the energy security of Central Europe. And in the future, on the long run, a cooperation between Central Europe and Cyprus in this respect can be of mutual benefit. We have homework in this respect because we have to develop LNG infrastructure in Central Europe in order to be able to accept, to receive potentially the gas that should be explored here from the Aphrodite gas field. We are proud that we can contribute to the security of the citizens of Cyprus by having 77 Hungarian troops serving in the framework of the United Nations mission here. I would like to ensure you that we will maintain this presence of ours, and we hope we can successfully contribute to final settlement of the challenges that the Cypriots have been facing in this country. Last but not least, Cyprus has faced enormous economic challenges, and Hungary has faced enormous economic challenges. I remember the critics that have been expressed against Cyprus, and I remember the critics that have been expressed against Hungary. And they were pretty similar to each other. But thanks God, the outcome is similar. Cyprus has survived the crisis and strengthened herself in economic ways. Now Cyprus is stronger than before the crisis, and Hungary is stronger than we used to be before the crisis as well. And this gives us the opportunity to enhance economic and trade cooperation. We shouldn't dramatize the fallback on the figures of bilateral trade because we were facing challenges, enormous challenges, but now we have overcome, thanks to the Cypriot and the Hungarian people, thanks to the two governments, and now we are able to have a new dimension of cooperation regarding trade and economy as well. This morning I met the leaders of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Cyprus, and we have agreed on the framework how we should enhance the cooperation. Well, actually, here we need to have a very clear list of priorities, sequencing, because without being able to control our borders, it doesn't make sense to speak about quotas or any other measures. Because just remember that until we had a debate about relocation of 120,000 migrants in Europe, during that debate there were much more than 120,000 people arriving into the European Union illegally and irregularly. So number one task of Europe is to get back the ability to control our own borders. Hungary has done so. We have an external border of the European Union and the external border of the Schengen zone, which we have to defend. We have built a fence. Were we criticized? Yes, we were criticized. We asked our European friends, do we have to comply with European regulations when it comes to Schengen or to Dublin? Answer was yes, you do have to comply with those regulations. But what Schengen Code requires? Schengen Code obliges us to ensure that our borders can only be crossed through the official border crossing points during opening hours. How you can ensure that? To build a physical obstacle. That's the only way. When I asked my fellow foreign ministers of the European Union, can you tell me another kind of proposal? They said, no, we cannot. So this kind of hypocritic behavior should be forgotten. In Europe, that whether you are criticized because of not complying with EU regulations or whether you are criticized because you are complying in a way which is not liked by this politically correct approach which is preventing now Europe from naming challenges as they are. So what do you think? Two priorities. First, getting back the ability to control our borders. Help Greece to do so, because when I say that Greece is not able to protect her southern borders, I'm not bashing Greece. I'm just describing a situation, because I do know what kind of extra efforts it needs from Hungary to protect 520 kilometers of a land border with fence and manpower. It's very, very complicated to defend 4,000 kilometers of sea border with hundreds of islands. It's very complicated. We cannot expect Greece to do it on her own. We have to help Greece, we have to assist Greece, we have to put together a joint European force to be able to protect the south border of the European Union. This is step number one. Step number two, we have to come to an agreement with those countries where millions of possible refugees are staying, who can possibly make a decision very quickly to come to Europe. And these are these four countries I have mentioned. The millions of people are living there, and if these four countries are not able to take care of them, they can make a very quick decision in a very short time to hit the road towards Europe, and that would cause an unbearable situation. Protecting the borders and agreement with those countries where the refugees are currently staying to stay there.